they had to get it back. So don't question me about my thing, just do your thing and be cool. Cause I know exactly whose I am, don't worry about it, homie, do you. Cause I've been rapping for a minute now. Used to walk around dead, but I'm living now. I'm just being myself, and evidently people gon' hate when you coming with a different sound. So don't question me about my thing, just do your thing and be cool. Cause I know exactly who I am, don't worry about it, homie, do you. Cause I've been rapping for a minute now. Used to walk around dead, but I'm living now. I'm just being myself, and evidently people gon' hate.
What's up, my tokers, jokers, and smokers? It's your man, Chef Rodney, back in the building with Buddy at Clio Cultivation. What's going on, man? Thanks for coming on the show, dude.
Hey, how's it going, fam? Thanks for having me out today.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been a minute. I've been trying to chase your ass down. I got some questions. Like, we need to figure some of this shit out. Like, listen, I want to dive right into it because it's the most important thing here in Michigan that people don't understand about cannabis. Like, yo, general, like public, they look at it, they're like, yo, I can go to a dispensary and buy weed. Why should I care about everything else? You know, from me handing them my hard-earned cash, you know what I'm saying, and procuring my pre-rolls or whatever, and I'm going to go have a night with the girls or a night with the guys or whatever. Why should they give a shit about what's happening with caregivers? You want to kind of jump at that head on?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Caregivers in Michigan are the foundation of the program. We can't forget about that. That's like forgetting about your family or something. That's forgetting about your mom and dad or your grandma or your aunts or uncles or something. Well, that's nothing you forget about. Your family is the most important thing. So the foundation of the cannabis movement in Michigan, in America, and perhaps even globally is affected by each and every caregiver, each and every decision of each and every patient, and each person who is a fan of cannabis, whether you consider yourself just recreational, hobbyist, or a complete and total connoisseur, advocate, and somebody involved in the movement. The whole spectrum should consider this. Where have all the caregivers gone? They didn't leave Michigan, and they still need the interactions with the patients. So if they're able to provide quality medicine at a price that you can afford, and they're going to actually get this, tailor it to your needs. You can talk to your caregiver, and they will grow your favorite strains in ample supply. So not only do you never run out, they'll probably give you some for free on a monthly basis, like I give my patients an ounce per month, and I pay for their cards upon renewal just to take care of them. You know, they shouldn't be subject to those fees. So as their caregiver, I provide that to them, and they're very appreciative. To be honest, they don't really need to go anywhere else, is what they tell me. And they've tried it. They've tried other maybe, and that I provide a better service and more quality of life and quality of medicine. So I would say, please remember your local caregiver. I'm not saying don't stop in and try stuff out. You know, if I'm walking down the wine aisle, maybe I'll grab a bottle or something, or maybe I'll grab a quick beer. And I might know there's better beer. So we can always have better choices. But it's that access. I think what's happening right now is just the phenomenon that it's open, right? These places are open and that it's a legal thing. But the caregivers, they still need love too, right? I mean, we are really doing something on a medical basis. So the caregivers that are left, think about it this way. You've got two different kinds of cannabis out there right now. You've got recreational and then you've got medical, right? So medical is actually still helping medical patients. I had a lady at a meeting last night. She was in tears talking about how it helped her through her cancer with the Rick Simpson oil, you know, and a lot of people they're talking about Rick Simpson oil, stuff that you really can't find readily available. Caregivers are good at that too. So it's not just smoking weed. It's also topicals that might help with arthritis. You know, think about that. If you could rub it on your hand, you can move your hands again and, feel better. So there's a lot of things that the caregivers are specialized. We've been doing this for over a decade, right?
Oh, 100%. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. And I love being wrong because it doesn't matter whether I'm wrong, I'm right. You know, I learned something, and caregivers is what put Michigan on the map cannabis-wise nationwide, let alone, there was already pre like things bubbling, I guess, if you will, brewing, if you will, in Michigan. You already had, Rainbow Farms and what happened 20 plus years ago. You've got Hash Bash that happened, years and years ago, Monroe Street Fair. You've got all these iconic cannabis landmarks and attractions and reasons for being, if you will. And then comes along the caregiver's rights, the whole 12 plants in the house type of thing. The caregiver can have 72 plants, 5 patients. That works. That worked. It works so well that it opened up, the grass ceiling, if you will, for all of these businesses that outside of the United States to come in and lay some roots here and to kind of, start cultivating and whatnot. Now, I don't think that you'll disagree with me when I say that, and I've always said this, there should be 3 facets of cannabis. There should be home grow, like a home brew. There should be craft cannabis, and there should be, corporate. You can't have one without the other in these days. Let's just face that. That's the truth. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that, corporate can come and piss all over what everybody else is doing. Now, one thing that I, to oversimplify this for that said consumer buying the joint at the dispensary. Okay. First and foremost, I want to say that we don't condone any kind of illegal activity. There are legal ways to go about, receiving your medicine from a caregiver. So, look into that later. We're not talking anything, under the table dealings here. Do it all legit because we are legit. Okay.
Yeah, get a caregiver. Right. That's a good point.
100%. Get a medical doctor to, go know what you're trying to heal. Go, attempt to heal it. Get a caregiver. Go from there. That's a legit process. Furthermore, I don't know about you, bud, and I'm pretty sure you can, agree to this and attest to this, but anytime somebody gives me a caregiver product to try out, because that's a gift, that's 100% legal. They're like, here, try this joint, versus something that I would purchase at a dispensary. 9 times out of 10, I can tell you which is which without even, having to look at it, just tasting it. You can taste the quality in the caregiver, grow in the caregiver cannabis. You can taste the time, literally, not the herb, but the actual time that it took to grow that plant. They're not just pumping out this boof shit. They're not pumping it full of PGRs. They're not trying to get, that fire. Well, here's the problem. A lot of these corporations don't understand that it burns even. It's a process. You can't force this. That's beautiful, man. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful thing. That right there, no bullshit, y'all. Real talk. That right there could save someone's life. And you're going to take that away from them. I don't like that, man. And that's why we're here. I don't see
I don't understand. Well, I don't understand. Why don't they just grow better? If they spent that kind of money on a facility, I mean, there are ways to grow quality cannabis. And somebody last night on one of the shows I was watching after we went to the township meeting, I was watching a kind of conversation, and somebody said maybe they're doing it on purpose to kind of like drown it down, because there's got to be a king of weed, like a king of beers, and nobody thinks Budweiser is the best. It's just the most popular beer for some reason, and a lot of people buy it. So maybe they're just doing it on purpose, but
right.
That could be to make it normalized that it's not very good, or maybe they just can't. I don't understand what the problem is. If I spent substantial amount of investment on getting some license, I would definitely make sure the quality was on point to match any other. You would just, shouldn't be just run of the mill, right? It should be outstanding. That's the thing we're missing, you guys. Medical marijuana is outstanding. The people that have been doing this are trying their best to grow the best quality they can, right? That's the whole point. And it's not just to sell it for the most money. I don't know about you. Do you grow yourself, Rodney?
I do. Yep.
Okay. So I've been growing 11 and a half years, and I find it, never thought of money necessarily. I mean, I look at the garden when I open my grow room. I mean, yeah, maybe you think like, wow, that could be valuable, but you think about your patients, don't you? Think about healing yourself. I grow a Northern Lights. We didn't get to talk about that yet, but that Northern Lights helps me with my asthma. It's real medical marijuana, that you can't probably find much in a dispensary because they don't grow that strain. It's not the new hot name fancy strain, and it's not going to sell next to other strains until if you cracked a jar and really smelled the terpenes grown from an organic standpoint, you would want to try it and see if it actually tasted like that. And when it's grown organics, it does. That's something else too. When you grow organics, you can bring out the flavor of the strain so that it actually tastes the way it smells, and it gives you a good flavor all the way through that whole joint. So I'm not here to say what is in a dispensary, because I don't go to a dispensary necessarily. So I couldn't tell you what's in one. And I don't think it's going to be all bad, is it? And that's why they have low and mid and top and all that. But why isn't it all just top shelf? Why is there anything else? Why isn't it all just amazing? So they're giving themselves a bad reputation. Let's be honest. Caregivers are doing the opposite. They're giving themselves a good reputation. And I kind of thought it was like a secret competition for Michigan to be the best weed in the world, you know? So that's why the caregivers were doing everything they could. And they're still going to have to do that. And I just see this as a time where we split this, okay? So we've got recreational, there's licensees. Nobody's going to stop them, are we? Go ahead, and there you go. Have your whole license procedure. We have medical marijuana, and we're going to keep it that way. So there's two systems. And so I guess what I'm saying to someone, if you ever thought marijuana was more than just getting high, if you thought it helped you heal yourself, you're a medical marijuana patient, whether you want to admit it or not. And you should find a caregiver who's nice enough to help you get your card and give you some of this awesome medicine. And like I said, you find the strain you like it, they'll grow it for you in ample supply. Like I'm actually looking for a patient to pick up that has asthma, like me, or COPD or something like that.
I'll do it. I need a caregiver. I got my card. I need a caregiver. We'll talk after the show for sure.
Let's make the connection. That's how you guys do it. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Be nice if somebody strike up a conversation. And I don't even need to grow more medical marijuana. I want to see if this can help you, so that not just to tell me personally, to tell the whole world that Northern Lights is a good strain. If you can't have any trouble breathing, even if you just get sick once in a while, you get allergies or something, you toke that stuff, and I put it into a bowl, Rodney. I actually smoke it like this here in my bowl. And funny thing of it is, this acts as an inhaler. So instead of carrying around an inhaler, I carry a lighter. There we go. I carry my lighter that my buddy Dan from Grow Tech gave me, and that heals me. And I know that's not good. That butane is probably not good.
Right.
I know that's not good. But when you like that Northern Lights and you inhale it, it's the same thing as taking an inhaler.
So let's spin a little bit more yarn about that and hopefully make a shirt here. So let me tell you a little bit about my asthma. My asthma didn't really kick in until I got old and fat. That's the truth.
Well, your lungs are getting compressed in there, right?
Right. I call it's all COVID's problem. But I did catch COVID, and honestly, like, it sucked. But smoking weed, I feel, saved my ass. But that's neither here nor there. I had asthma kind of all my life, but it was very acute. Like, I could run miles, I could do whatever I wanted, I could work in any kitchen. I was always busy, always moving. I skate, the whole nine. And I was very active. And then as you grow up, you just become less active. That's just natural, the way that, things naturally happen. So, I don't know, it was like 6 or 7 years ago, I stopped drinking. That as soon as you stop drinking, that's when your body's like, well, hang on though, because there's 59 more problems that you don't know about. That check engine light, there's a reason, and so seeing said idiot light, I go to my physician and I go, hey, this is what's going on. They're like, let's do a breathing test on you. I'm like, can we not? Like, I feel sick today. Like, it's not like I can't bear, like, I have bronchitis or some shit. They tried to tell me that I had COPD at the age of like 25. And I'm like, there's no way. That's not how that works. And they're like, well, you do, so just deal with it. I'm like, you didn't provide any kind of explanation. I go and get another, little air, breathing test done, and the doctor's like, no, you could develop COPD, but he's like, you have, bad asthma and allergies. That's what you have. Like, that's the truth. And so I told him, I was like, what are we gonna do about this? And so he put me on obviously an allergy pill, just over the counter, something with a little bit of a decongestant. I take that every night. I take my stuff at night so that, it's better. It helps me breathe, at night. I do have a rescue inhaler, that I use when I need to. Now, I've noticed some certain dabs that I'll take, and maybe
you gotta watch. You gotta watch those dabs. They'll take your breath away. I know.
Easy.
I know.
Easy.
That's why I have the Northern Lights available. So I swear, dude, I'll hit the Northern Lights, a couple good hits, and then I'll take a dab. And then depending on the dab, sometimes it will do that where I'll feel a little bit like just heavy on my chest, I'll hit the Northern Lights 1 or 2 more times and takes it all away.
Now, here's what I do want to say. There are certain dabs, and I'm guessing it has to do with how it's made, and I'll, we'll dive into that. I've got people, that I want to talk to about that. My dude Mateo over at Country Boy Farms, they're doing, a hell of a good thing. He got me some of that peach crescendo, like some of that's really fire. It really is. That's not a plug by any means. It's just good product, man, and it doesn't do what your other dabs do to take my breath away, because what it is like, maybe it's just the dryness, but I usually smoke it through a nectar collector, you know what I mean? And I know that burns a lot of terps off and stuff, but that's what I'm used to. I think that the wetter that I can make it, you know what I'm saying, the better it is, because the drier the hit, I've noticed, the more that it exacerbates my asthma. And I have found out that that's the truth. You know, we live in a very like moldy, wet state, you know, and in the winter, everything becomes dry, believe it or not. I know that doesn't make any sense, but that's the truth of it. I don't know, man. Like, my asthma's not, it's not debilitating to where like I need my rescue inhaler, like, you know, 4 or 5 times a day. I don't need oxygen or anything like that. It's just I would like to be able to breathe freely, if that makes any sense. I don't want to take, I take it's a breathing pill. I forget what it's called, because
Dude, you're on
it's
too many pills, bro. You're on too
I'm
many.
on two. I don't want to be
You
on either
shouldn't.
one of them.
No,
I
too
feel
many,
you.
man.
I feel you.
Too many. And
It's
that inhaler, you can just put, when you get it, when, look, I'm going to give you a start you out with an ounce of this Northern Lights. When you
Okay.
get on, it's going to take you about a week to get off of that. It's in your, that stuff's in your blood, okay?
I'm with it.
It's going to take you about a week, and you're going to have to push through that part of it. It's like pushing through an envelope or something, pushing through
Right.
a screen or
It's a
something.
detox. It's a detox.
You got to get through
Yep.
that. So it's going to be a little challenging. But after that week, you said you wanted to be able to breathe. I almost stopped you right there, because that's the beauty of medical marijuana. You just said that. When I have never been able to breathe better as to when I smoke this Northern Lights, and it's only this Northern Lights. You could say, what about, you know, other strain names? Those are great, and I love all marijuana. That's my favorite strain is marijuana. I love cannabis, all cannabis. So don't think it's I'm picking on any other strain. It's just some terpene in the Northern Lights helps me breathe, and I want to experiment with you to see if we can help you. And we'll talk more about it. You know, if we can tell people, when I give this strain out, by the way, so anybody who wants a cutting, you know, just, I got to call the store, get on the list. I can give it away. It's no problem. You're over 21. You can grow 12 plants, so it's totally legal. I don't make any money on it. I'm not trying to sell the strain. It's not about the money, is it? Well, I got it for free. So I give it out to everybody who wants to grow it. And I teach people how to grow it organic soil, RO water, you know, something called Fish It, Mammoth Pea, stuff, simple products that's organics. And I end up getting huge yields under LED light now.
I'm with it.
Very
I'm
happy.
with it.
So I'm getting more terpene.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm getting more natural terpene than ever before. And I've been growing the same strain for almost 11 years. So the better the terpenes, the better it works.
So definitely sounds like I'm going to Clio soon. First and foremost. Secondly,
so that kind of relates back to recreational marijuana. So again, we're not saying you can't go check out those places and buy stuff, but kind of keep your caregiver and buck up your card. Everybody get your cards. It gets you into events, gets you into clubs, gets you out of trouble. If you get pulled over, a lot of times you show your card, they'll show more compassion. You can fly out of state. They give you more precedence if you have your card. I guess you can have a little bit in your system versus not having any in your system. Operating machinery, driving, things like that. There's exclusions for medical patients. They look at us a lot more kindly. And as long as you're not trying to abuse the system and grow hundreds of plants illegally, we want you to be a part of the program still. And I just don't want to see the program completely go away, because it would take away the medical benefit that really marijuana has. And that's what made us kind of famous as a state of Michigan, right? Like, it's not just like these people over here getting high. They have actually discovered the medical benefits of this plant.
It's interesting that you light something on fire and it just so happens to be healing. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, man. Like, I don't see why nature is illegal. It doesn't make sense to me. It never did. You know, I've been a cannabis advocate my entire life. I will say this. Most of the time it was recreational. Being a chef growing up, man, you really couldn't afford health insurance. I'm not going to lie about that. You know, you can't. You're paid, you know, a certain amount, and then people go, well, that's your responsibility. Well, it is, but not really. Like, you know, it's kind of like, I don't have the ability to drive or move 10 hours to get paid what I'm worth or what I should be making or whatever have you. That's just not how that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Why can't I be paid that here? You know, why can't I live here where I want to, where I'm from? And people are like, well, that's not how it works. Are you fucking kidding me? Yes, that is exactly how, like, it's just, people will argue about the dumbest shit. They really will. But the fact is, you know, I didn't really have health insurance growing up. I didn't really have much. You don't become a chef for the money. That's the truth of it. You know, it's very labor intensive. And so with that, we went to our vices, you know, cannabis being a vice at this point. You know, you'd get these thoughts of, hey, do I want to stick all of my fucking problems and woes and anxieties and depression, you know, suicidal thoughts at the end of this bottle, put it to my head and pull a trigger? Or do I want to light this joint, you know, and buck up and see another day, you know? And cannabis, I will say this, it's very cliche as it is, cannabis did save my life, and that's why I want to give back. You know, I may not be able to make every single township meeting. You know, there's one coming up, I believe in Monday, you know, here soon. You guys just
February
did
8th. Yes, I would
February
love
8th, right.
everyone to come out. Definitely come out February 8th and Monday if you get a chance.
100%. You know, you guys just went to one last night. Where was it again?
That was in our Bela Township, right on
Okay.
Birch Run Road. It affects people that live in Birch Run, Millington, and the surrounding area
Yep.
of Tuscola County. And that was an awesome meeting. If you want to talk about that, I'd love to tell you about it.
No, I want to know more, like, like when you walked in, what were you guys stepping against? Because from what I understand, it was you, Latrish Matson, Amy Carter. Is there anybody else we know that
A lot of people. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Some of the growers that come to the store, some other folks I didn't know. Haas was there and one of his friends.
That's my man right there.
Man, I can't remember right now, but a lot more than I thought, because at Mundy Township, honestly, it was me and one other lady. I can't recall her name, but it was just two freedom cannabis fighters. And there was some other people wanting to talk about their own personal businesses. And after they were done, they left. So it was just us two against like 9 board members, their attorney, it's sheriff. It was a little bit intimidating, where last night it wasn't so bad. It felt like there was more energy in the room. There was more energy there because there was more of us there. And we had to sit silently and bite our lips for 1 hour and 5 minutes. You can see this on YouTube under Clio Cultivation. Look it up, and you'll see I recorded it. It's an hour and 55 minutes video, right? So for the first hour and 5 minutes, we had to listen to the board talk to their attorney, and he basically, it is what it is. He just kind of like led them through it, because they had no really idea what it was about it or anything about what was in it, and they didn't have any part of writing it, you know? So this attorney just whips this thing up, and a lot of, half of it was stuff that they need to take it out, like acres of land. That's a big one that people are just unbelievably, getting imposed, like, oh, you got to have 2 acres or 5 acres. What does that have to do with a plant in your house, right? So stupid stuff like that. One of the lines said you couldn't smoke weed in your house. You couldn't grow it at your house. I mean, just the most ridiculous things that are obviously against the intention of our law.
So you're saying that they're grabbing at straws at this point?
The attorneys are working with the municipalities and the municipal leagues, who are somehow in cahoots, we think, with the commercial growers or somebody, the lobbyists, somebody on behalf. Why is this all happening out of nowhere? Well, in any case, they have what I'm noticing is, by going to a lot of these meetings, it's kind of like a stamping of it. So what we're doing is we're slightly dismantling the stamping before they severely dismantle the caregiver program. If you live in a township where they make you go to industrial, well, there's only a little industrial area, you can't be a caregiver anymore. Or if they say 5 acres of land and there's only 70 parcels out of 1,000, that's 5 acres. Well, they're just pretty much, again, demolishing the caregiver system and saying you can't be a caregiver. So basically, it's very important that you go to your local township meetings and that you go to the surrounding township meetings, and you can even go statewide. I've been pretty far away, up to an hour away sometimes. Like, say, for example, I went down to Dexter. It's fine. You can represent yourself as a citizen of Michigan and a cannabis advocate, and somebody who's not only a grower, but maybe somebody who's learning how these ordinances are to be written, and kind of give them guidance. And if you speak from a level of respect, but yet firmness, that, hey, this isn't right, and, oh, well, by the way, this would be too restrictive. Well, as you speak from being a grower or even a patient, it's very important, if you are a patient, to go to these meetings, because you talk about your medical needs, and they really listen to the words of each speaker last night, Rodney, and they changed their mind. I mean, they were told a story by the attorney. The attorney has a story, and then we tell the real truth behind it.
So basically, you want to go to these things. Don't be afraid. You know, you're not under.
No.
It might act like a courtroom, and I can attest to that. I've been in many. Let's face it, but it's not. You know, don't be intimidated. You have to speak with the goal of resolution. Don't speak, you know, down to them. You know, these people don't fucking know. That's the truth. They may smoke weed, they may not. They don't know what's going on because we don't have a lot of these statutes in place. You know, just real quick. I don't consider myself a caregiver. I am a hobbyist at best. I'm learning how to grow this efficiently. You know, I'm on my third or fourth grow. I just started recently. You know, COVID did help with that. Otherwise, I wasn't home enough. You know what I mean? Like I was off working or whatever have you, or just got high in a park and lost myself for a day. The point is, you know, I'm practicing it. Not to mention, it's not just cannabis that I grow. I do have a 10 by 10 in my basement. You know what I mean? I also grow my tomatoes. I grow thyme. I grow oregano,
cool.
basil. I do all of that because it's fucking farm to table. If we're going to talk about sustainability, period, cannabis is on that table. It's on that conversation. You know, you can eat the whole damn plant while it's growing. You know, trim some leaves here and there so she looks good. When you lollipop them, you got leaves left over. Take that shit, you know, and put it in your food. You know, I talked to Mr. Rick Thompson real quick. I had an interview with him last year, and he had said something that really caught on. And thank you, Rick, because this actually changed my life a little bit. He said, if you want, you know, the full ensemble effect, okay, of the cannabis, take the leaves and throw them in a shake, you know what I'm saying? And then while you're drinking that shake, smoke you a joint or, you know, medicate however you medicate. And then, you know, notice how you feel after that. You know, give it 10, 15 minutes. I shit you not. You know, you do feel better. You feel everything. You're getting all of the natural cannabinoids that you don't burn off, you know what I'm saying? And then you're getting all the other cannabinoids that you do burn off and you know, well, not burn off, but, you know, at the end of smoking your bowl, doing your dab or whatever have you. So you're getting that full spectrum, and it really does have healing properties. Now, I do want to jump into the meeting last night. I missed these. I hear about them. I'm in full support. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could go to more, but it's hard with what I do now. You know, it's hard to move. You had made mention that there was a lady last night that got pretty decently upset, you know, with her testimony. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
That's one of our cannabis warriors, Mary Lynn. And, you know, she was telling a personal story about how she's dealt with cancer and how she's even had it on her face, and somebody thought it might be paint, and it was actually like cancer on her face, and that she would rub the RSO oil and that it would fall off and that it healed her. You know, so she was just talking about, please don't take it away from her. She's an outdoor grower, and that they need to make sure to leave outdoor growing alone, that they can cultivate outside using the Mother Nature and the sunshine, and that you know, that's how she depends on her medicine. And it was a very touching story.
Moving. That's moving.
She's a good personal friend of mine, you know. And she's not up there just tears for a show. Like that's how she feels. It really affects her life, and it affects a lot of people, and they're just not aware. First of all, you know, to be honest with you, Ben, take a step back. Not many people are aware of the ordinance meetings that live in the township. They just don't know that they're even having a meeting, first of all. And even if they are aware of a meeting, they don't know what they're talking about. And inside of the meeting, they talk about our cannabis rights behind our backs, you know?
Right.
And they come in with this, I swear, the attorney has an agenda.
Oh, yeah.
To basically see if they're going to go along with it. And if they will, and usually they'll have like a supervisor who wants to do it, and maybe one of the 2 or 3 of the 4 board members, so they'll try to get a majority, you know? And they'll just kind of like railroad this through. And if nobody's there, they'll just push it right through.
The question is this, you know, how many things, not just cannabis, but how many things have they done this with, you know, that have, you know, moved your rights out of the way so they can build a parking lot, you know, and stuff like that. Like it's
the planning board main, can't remember, chairman, he said nobody comes to the meetings. And I said, well, sir, we're here tonight because this is a really important issue. And he took it seriously, what I was saying. And that was the beginning of the meeting before the attorney came in. And then he really took it seriously. And he really wanted to take his time to listen to each of our comments. And they actually let us go beyond the 3 minutes, some of us. Like I said, it's all on YouTube. It's very touching, very personal, stories of people's lives that you can see that. And that's what it takes. If they're going to have a meeting, okay, and they're going to talk about our rights, and if it's unopposed, they're going to go ahead and cancel out caregivers around the state of Michigan. So if you want to see
Unfortunately,
caregivers, you see what I'm saying? If you
Mhm.
want to see caregivers totally destroyed, definitely don't go to the meeting and just sit back and watch it fall. However, you have a chance to do something about it. If you care about cannabis or just freedom, the idea of America, that everybody has a
Mhm.
right to privacy and freedom and liberty and happiness, all those basic principles that we were taught in school as kids, that's the stuff that we need to stand up on right now, and just talk about it. You know, we're not trying to abolish the recreational program, are we? But we need to also stay in our lane and keep sure we have a lane left, and that we can also be caregivers for any of our patients. And the patients should really appreciate that there are caregivers out there holding their hands out, wanting to work with them, just like we just formed a relationship. They can do that anytime they want to. And we need to be able to continue our program because medical marijuana is not readily available. It's difficult to find. I've heard it's not really in many of the dispensaries. So, and I've actually heard dispensary owners say it's not profitable to sell medical marijuana, and they're getting out of the game. They just want to sell recreational, and that's up to them. That is their
Yeah.
choice, and I can understand because you know what happened. I believe a lot of people let go of their card. You know, they just really
Mhm.
got their card because they had to get it to protect their law and their rights. You know, and it's not necessary. You know, recreational is probably going to be here to stay, right? I mean, it's a pretty
Yeah.
interesting law that you can, if you just think about it outside of being a grower, right? If you're just somebody who just smokes, I mean, kind of makes sense. I mean, you just have weed and it doesn't matter. It's legal now. It's so normalized. It almost abolishes the medical caregiver program by itself, or does it? And that's the question we're talking about. Is it medicine out
Yeah.
there in the
Yeah.
recreational field? Is it?
I
I don't
I
know.
wouldn't agree with that. I mean, and here's why. I don't think that I think it is medicine to some degree, but I think that it's not cultivated correctly. If I, it's there are good brands out there. There are for example, Redemption came from a caregiver background. That's kind of what
I've
why
heard that
he
name
does
before.
that's why he does what he does, and that's why Ryan, he was a caregiver, he became legit. The government's like, we don't give a shit. They raided his house, all of this,
Oh
he
man.
was within the law. He went to prison for 4 years and he was like, this is not okay. And so he's definitely a person that you want to stand behind, you know what I mean? Because it's like they told him, listen, you can't own a cannabis company. Well, he doesn't. You see what I'm saying? That's the point. But you got to stand up and be heard, especially nowadays. And that's what, that's let's face it, like anytime you argue with a chef, they're going to enjoy it, whether they're wrong or right. They're going to enjoy it. We're like a pig in the mug. We just want to argue for the sake of arguing because we're bored. Otherwise I'd be cooking something and slaving away. The point is it's entertaining. But we stand up, with what we believe in. And I don't think that on the rec side of things, it doesn't taste the same, it doesn't work the same, it's not the same. I don't know what they do different, and we talked about this a little earlier, like they're pushing quality or quantity over quality. They're kind of, there's a dyslexic moment, if you will. I don't understand where they thought that it would just be okay to just pump out this a lot of people call it boof, a lot of, or whatever have you. I've had, some recreational products and they don't work the same. It doesn't help me breathe. They don't worry about the terpenes. Now, going back to the whole Northern Lights thing, and I could be incorrect here, but I think that the terpene that really does help with upper respiratory, I think from what I remember, is called pinene. Anything with pinene in it is definitely going to help with asthma, breathing, anything upper respiratory. That's just out of my own research. I could be completely wrong. Now, I do want to the reason that I say that is I wonder if there's a correlation between the OG Northern Lights, which Northern Lights is an OG strain. Let's face it, it's been around for quite a while. At least 11 years that we know of, right? I want to see if there's a correlation, meaning I wonder what the levels of the actual terpene pinene are in Northern Lights. I mean, maybe there's something with that. That conversation, everything that I literally just said and everything that we've said before, will never take place on the recreational market. However, on the recreational market, they will absolutely mimic that information and pretend to have that conversation and label it on their products to make it look better. I'm sorry, it's not. And like we said before, you know, you can do a caregiver product next to a recreational product from a dispensary, and you're going to be able to tell the difference, you know, plain as day. Not just from looking, I'm talking blind taste test study, you know, just from the effects, you're going to be able to tell the difference, you know, and that's why caregivers, I mean, dude, don't fuck with caregivers. That's really what it comes down to. You know, we put Michigan on the map for a reason, and it's not going to go anywhere. You know, it's, believe it or not, the most legit of anything cannabis right now is caregivers. They're the ones, and I got a question for you here in a second. They're the ones, you know, above board on all of this. They're the ones, you know, they preach what they, you know, what they sell. You know what I'm saying? They you can see the passion, you can see the quality. They're 100% legal and legit. You know, despite you know what certain townships may say or may not, they're trying to be legit in this market. Whereas there's a lot of corporations out there, a lot to not be named here, that aren't doing that. They don't give a shit because it's just money to them. You know, it's like with BP. Okay, BP. A pipeline will burst and kill wildlife in the area and stuff like that, and they'll get a bunch of fines. You know, they'll get a lot of fines. It's actually cheaper for them just to pay the fines off and not give a shit than it is to actually, you know, fix the problem and you know, take responsibility for it. That's the point. Again, going back to the whole recall that happened earlier in Michigan where it failed testing. Notice that wasn't caregivers, y'all. Now, with that being said, I got a question for you, you being a caregiver. Is testing something that caregivers shy away from or take pride in?
We're glad to do it. We can pass any test you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to test all the time. That's almost like, I don't know, I just feel like
That's
it's
my point.
redundant. It's redundant. Once you have established yourself and your methodology, you can see if you've got any infestation with as far as a bug, mold, mildew, things like that. So what are we even testing for? If you've already gotten your product tested and you know that your soil is safe, your nutrients are safe, you can see it when you're growing it. If you've got a bunch of nutrients, it's not going to look the same as if you've ever grown a plant that it had a chance to rinse. I call it. I don't call it flush, maybe, but flush your nutrients out. Rinse. Yep. I rinse it multiple times with water, and it just drinks that nutrient right through that. So you'll see a nice light green, maybe yellow leaf, and you'll see a cola that is so flavorful that there you go. You can kind of tell because it captures the true terpene. So since I've always grown, you can smell it and you can see it. And it's not, there's no residual nutrients is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
That's something that can be done with any grower, you know, it's just how you grow it. But I can tell you for sure, over the course of the 11 years of growing Northern Lights, it was always something where it worked, and I did get it tested, and it was pinene and myrcene were the two terpenes that were like spiked way up on high. And so it probably is that pinene. And it's definitely a bronchodilator, and it works for 4 to 6 hours, just like, you know, somebody might say, well, how long were you stoned or whatever? Oh, about 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours. Yeah, right. So the effects last similar. Even if you're a veteran smoker, I've been smoking since I was 14. I'm about to turn 44 in a couple weeks, brother. Okay? So every single day that I could get my grubby little hands on some weed, since I've been a 14-year-old all the way till today and all the way forever, even that right there, it's still medicinal, okay? So that's another good point. You know, a lot of times people will smoke a strain or say, oh, I'm sick of it, I want to try something else. Hence the dispensary, you got 33 flavors of ice cream, right? I mean, you got it all right there. So that's cool, except what if you found a strain that you got medicinal effects, like our breathing, we're talking about it, and let's just say it still gets you your stone or your buzz or whatever. The Northern Lights doesn't make you go to sleep like a typical couch lock. You've heard of a couch lock strain out there that makes you want to lay down. Like even a veteran smoker, Gorilla Glue or some strains of Mac, actually you might have to go to sleep and take a nap and smoke it in the daytime. But Granny's Panties is a strain I grow. It's called, it's a funny name, like a sativa. That would be the opposite, right? Where you would absolutely not be sleeping, and it would actually make you wake up. The Northern Lights, it seems like it just makes you feel happy. You're calm. You can breathe. Imagine that, you know, you can breathe, you're calm, you're focused, you can go about your day. You're not bothering anybody. You're not going around stinking up the world or look at that stoner or nothing, but you can still use your medicine throughout the day. So that's what I love about it is it's one of those things. If somebody says to me, they've asked me before, so hey buddy, what's the strain you would always want to have it? What if you had to one strain? Northern Lights. It's just that easy answer for me. So I want that for each person out there to find these strains that they just love. And if they can get their hands on it, however they get their hands on it, I'm happy for it. But, caregivers are so in tune with your strains and the different strains that might not be available in certain places. It's something to never forget about it. How this started, and I think even where it's headed. Let's have both programs.
Mhm.
Let's just do it like that. Let's have medical marijuana over here, and then let's do the recreational over there. Have it separate programs.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Like I said, the different facets of cannabis, the different avenues, as long as you stay in your lane, you're good to go. But it's always corporations that want to take over the other little guy, and I'll make my point right now. So caregivers such as yourself are like, yo, I think everybody should grow weed. You should grow your 12 plants. You should grow one plant. Just grow your weed, period. Just to make sure that you have, your Northern Lights on deck. You have that for you. Have a caregiver, that's fine. But, grow your own medicine, grow your own food, tend your own cattle, that kind of thing. Whereas corporations are like, no, we don't want you to do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want to point out. Now, one of the slights against, one of the attacks against caregivers right now is not actually aimed at caregivers. It's aimed at just your general resident of Michigan. As a non-caregiver, okay, non-cannabis owner, just as a, Michigan resident, I'm allowed to have up to 12 plants in my home. Now, mind you, that's not all 12 flowering at the same time. That's dumb. Don't do it like that. It's never gonna, it's just not, unless you have a big enough house, fine. But for me, that doesn't work like that. Now,
I mean, you could, you could just grow once, harvest it,
right.
and, I'll stop for a while and maybe grow some more later. I mean, it's up to you, I guess.
But you're not going to hear anybody from a corporation saying that. That's my point. They're going to be like, no, we don't want you to do 12. We don't want you to do any.
Right.
We don't want you to do anything. And that's
12 2-pounders. What's the big deal?
There you go. That's the issue. And then another issue that I've heard, a very common issue that I've heard from the MCMA, they didn't like the reports of the smell that they're getting. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have 6 plants right now. Okay, they're all going into flower. They smell fucking great. If I'm outside and I'm near my house, if I'm on my motherfucking property, yeah, I can smell them. I live in a cul-de-sac. My next door neighbor's pretty decently close. I'm not gonna lie to you. And he says he can smell it. They don't smoke. They don't give a shit. They do have all kinds of flowers in their backyard and love it. They're like, listen, if I want a joint, I know where to go. And that's where it's at, I have a neighbor across the way, and she's up there in age. I won't lie to you. Very sweet lady. And that's about as nicest thing I can say, but very sweet lady. You're not supposed to be, lovey-dovey with all your neighbors, right? But she'll complain about everything. And so one day she comes over to my house and knocks on my door and asks me if I had a permit or a license to grow marijuana. You know what I told her? You know what I told her? Get the fuck off my property. You come back with a warrant, we'll have a conversation. I was like, I don't fuck around with people like you. I'm sorry. Don't come over into my property and rear your fucking teeth, because this is a dog-eat-dog fucking world, and I'll send you right back where you are. I don't give a fuck who you are. And she's like, why are you getting so defensive? I was like, because you're standing in my fucking doorway asking me my goddamn business. I was like, I tell you what, how about you walk back to your house and I go back into your doorway and ask you if you have a permit or documentation to be a fucking bitch. I was like, fuck off.
Oh.
Like, I don't deal with that shit. Like, I used to have a fucking doormat in the front of my door. Come back with a warrant. That's what it is. And one of the things, and an additional thing that they want to do away with is, if you want to be a legit caregiver, that's fine. That's cool. You can do that without, buying into their bullshit. But in the clauses there, they take away the no knock. They can just kick in your fucking door and raid you, and you waive your rights in signing that paper. Don't sign that shit. Read that shit. Don't even do that. If somebody kicked in my door, I don't listen. I believe in the Second Amendment to an extent. You understand? I don't believe in assault rifles and all that, but I got a right to protect my home. You understand? You kick in that door, be the last goddamn thing you do. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's I'm not a gun crazed nut, but I got dogs. That's what I'm saying.
That's what we try to talk about. That's what we're trying to talk about to these townships. Like, please don't turn a peaceful grower who grows a plant into
Yep.
somebody who might have a person that's got, bulletproof vests and guns in your
Yep.
house. Think about that.
Yep.
So anybody who's a recreational grower, they're never going to bother with you. Anybody
No.
who's following the medical caregiver program, they're never going to bother with you. If you're growing outside the medical caregiver program, you probably shouldn't be doing that. You probably should not have more than what you're allowed to have.
Right.
And if they send you a warning letter or Granny next door knocks on your door, you
Yep.
should probably, now I'm not saying you, but if
Right.
you're a legal grower, you should probably tone it down and get some filters or just, lower the number of plants, because we don't want to give the medical caregiver program a bad name.
Right.
But if you're a recreational grower, you have every right to grow in your home without a
Mhm.
permit. They can't even make a permit. Isn't that awesome?
No, they can't.
So there's a lot of good things about the recreational law. I think one of the things it says is you can actually possess the amount of harvest you would reasonably harvest from those plants. So that
Mhm.
could be, like I
You
said,
just can't transport it.
1 or 2 pounds of
Yeah.
plant. You could have it locked up in a little lock in your basement or wherever, and that's fine. So I think with the situation with the neighbor, that's up to you. The thing is about using
It's
a
the
filter.
one neighbor that no one likes in the neighborhood.
I'm
So that's
sorry.
just
Everybody's got one.
yeah.
Everybody's got one. I got one next door too. But if you did, I'm not that close to mine. I pull up. If I smell weed, I'm proud of myself. I'm like, oh,
Right.
good job, buddy.
You better be
got a
able to
couple
smell it.
buds
I
still.
spend good money on that shit.
I
Right.
got
Exactly.
like
yeah.
4 plants harvested at a time or something.
Right.
It's enough to just keep my patients happy, and that's fine. But the truth is, in a tight knit neighborhood, a lot of people might be growers, and
Right.
each person that either exhausts it so it doesn't go to the neighbor's house or maybe a filter,
Mhm.
then they wouldn't even know. They wouldn't even know. So, if she keeps causing you trouble, I would just try to make it seem like she wouldn't even know. And
Well, it's funny
do it that
because
way.
it's like, I didn't mean to kind of attack maybe she caught me on a wrong day. And listen, it is what it is, man. Mental health being the way that it is. I'm not that overly attack or brazen to her. I just wanted to exemplify a point. So I want to make that very clear. And I do apologize about that. I'm very passionate about,
What's
listen,
your
dude,
property? No, I respect
Exactly.
that. That's your land.
That's
that's
my
all
house,
we
dog.
have as people is our land.
Right.
So that's why we have fences, and we don't expect each other to
Yep.
kind of be bossy like that. I totally understand. But somehow, so she's trying to tell you that
Yeah.
she's at your house over there, and it somehow smells all the way over there, man.
No, that's not even what it was. So I didn't
crazy.
even dive into can you smell it? Because honestly, first and foremost, I really don't care if you can. It's like we were talking about. You better be able to smell it. Secondly, I have talked to my neighbors next door who don't smoke weed, and I'm like, can you smell it? And they're like, yeah, barely. And we live right next to you, and we've with my
I
neighbor
mean,
that
that's, let's be honest. All these people complaining about
right.
smell. I mean, unless you're like got your face on the bud. I mean,
Mhm.
come on, let's be serious.
Yep.
Is it really that bad? Now, I'll tell you another
It's a
funny
flower.
thing I thought about. If I lived next door to a commercial grower with 10,000 plants, and it was like pungent when I woke up, and it was on my bed sheets, and it was, you know what I mean, on my
Yep.
clothes, and it was just in my hair, and it was in my saliva, I would probably get pissed off and move away, wouldn't you? I mean, if it was
Yep.
like super heavy, like when you're trimming, and it gets, sometimes when I'm trimming, I have that sativa I grow it makes you like water your eyes, and it kind of makes you feel like a little bit dizzy after hours and hours of sitting there trimming. Just
Right.
smelling the oils and the terpenes, because it's so strong, it can actually make me almost feel sick. So just imagine if that was in your house and it bothered you. I can
Right.
understand. Okay, but we're talking about a caregiver here with a few
Yeah.
plants. I don't really see that as such a situation. But if people are next door, and the kids are out there trying to play in their playground or something, and it stinks up the neighborhood, maybe just throw a filter up. That's all I would ever say to another caregiver personally.
Yeah, and we do have a filter in the 10x10, and that's what I'm saying. Like unless it's like a very calm, like non-windy day, I live in a cul-de-sac and she lives on the other side of it. You can't smell it over there. We've tried this. We've done the testing. You can't smell it.
That's another thing too. Oh, that's a good point. Like, oh, really? Oh, cool. Let me grab my shoes and socks. I'm go check it out with you.
Let's go for a walk.
Yeah. No, take me over. Let's sit down in your living room. Oh, well, you can't smell it? Okay, well, I got this joint. Let's smoke.
Right. Exactly. And, so we've tested, I looked into it. I did. You know what I'm
Give her
saying?
a bag
Because
of
it's just
weed.
like,
Can you smell it now?
Right.
And just give her a whole bag of it. There you go.
And it's funny because I'm not gonna lie to her. You know, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I'm growing weed here. But when you come into when you come to my doorway, my property, and you ask me, if I have this and that's none of your
That was
fucking
very
business.
threatening. Yeah, that was very intimidating. That's what they'll try to do in the
Hmm.
townships is
Hmm.
they'll attack you with these intimidation letters, and it's very intimidating.
And
But
that's
again,
why I hold my tongue at these meetings because
yeah,
let's face it, like I do suffer from mental health issues. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. That's another reason why I smoke weed. But that just comes from the hypersensitivity of the upbringing and my background as a chef. We're not known for being nice. Let's face it. We're there comes a time with chefs. It goes one of two ways. Either I'm intimidating or you're intimidated. That's up to you. That's your projection of how you see me. I hope she sees me as an asshole, but I will say this: the fact that she has a for sale sign on her lawn right now, not really. I win. I'm just not even gonna. I'll wave to her. She'll wave back. That's the end of it. That's where the niceties stay. You've already, I already know what kind of person you are. You know what I'm saying? You're leaving anyways. Why the fuck do you care? That's what I'm saying. Did you live here for 40 plus years? Gorgeous house, great house, very manicured lawn, very, very nice looking house. I, little envious, so teach me some tricks, right? But, a lot of respect to that. But you came over after those 40 years, asked me if I had documentation, didn't like what you hear, and now you're going to sell your house. That sounds petty as shit. I'm just saying, like, if I'm the reason you're moving out of the neighborhood, see ya. Like, that's all I'm going to say. Like, I really don't. What do you say to that? Like, you
that's what
can't
I tell
fix
the
that.
townships. That's what I tell the townships is you guys have no idea the growers. They're good people. First of all, they go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids go to school together, right? We are at all the parent teacher conferences together. The whatever kids sporting activities. Kids play together. We go to maybe they go to church together. They shop at the local grocery stores. They drive on the streets. Like you wouldn't believe the caregivers and the patients that are in your neighborhoods, and they just work with you. They're at your workplaces, and they're your friends and
Mm-hmm.
they're your neighbors. But we don't go around advertising it. Do you wear it on your hat or on your sleeve? Like, oh yeah, I'm a
Right.
caregiver. I'm a grower. Like you don't really tell people that information. And so they're already. That's what they don't realize is there's only 1% of the people they've heard about that had some problem or somebody complained about something. The other 99% they've never even heard about the growers, and they're trying to make rules against us. And then it's funny the way that you read these ordinances. It's almost like they're writing them to basically assume that you're doing something wrong.
Correct.
If you ever, you know what I mean? So you already feel attacked. That's why I'm getting involved, and that's kind of why I have to go to these things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, man, if the words were okay, I wouldn't have nothing to say. I would sit there when a public comment. I'd say, hey, thanks a lot for writing this good ordinance. It's real
Right.
good. Thank you. It's green friendly. I don't feel intimidated if my growers live here. I won't have to have them move away. And that's,
Right.
I guess, the point, isn't it? Nobody should have to move away.
No.
And I tell each one of the township boards, I promise we're going to be good neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get along. We're going to keep our grass clean. That's all they really want is that you keep your yard clean. You live at the house, you grow at it. If a Girl Scout comes up, you buy some cookies. You treat the kids getting Halloween candy nice. You don't fight with your neighbors too much. You leave each other alone. So that would be the best advice for her is just enjoy your life over there.
There's
Don't look
there's
over
another
there.
part to the story that I think would it will show the levity of the situation. So first and foremost, I do want to add on to what you were saying with the legalese, the statutes in the townships. Yes, it is written decently predatory. A lot of things they're just assuming at this point. Well, when you assume, it's an issue. The second half to the neighbor story on my part is this: she don't mind when I plow her driveway for free. That's my point. I live in a cul-de-sac, man. If I have some downtime, I want to get some exercise in. I can't go run for a jog. You can't, run in snow boots. That shit don't happen. You're going to go out there and you're going to plow your driveway. Now, listen, I ain't looking for no tweet. I don't snap a chat. Like, it don't fucking matter to me, man. You're just doing something just for the sake of being good, all right? Like, listen, my father, may have raised me in some bad ways, don't get me wrong, but one of the, good ways that I was raised is the fact that you just do something good for the sake of doing good. Now, it's interesting that after I felt bad about attacking this old lady, but at the same time, fuck you is kind of what was going through my head. But at the same time, since that happened, and this was 8-9 months ago, maybe, I've done nothing but been nice to this person, and that's my point. Like, you don't bitch when I shovel your driveway, but you're gonna bitch, when you're on my porch about the smell. Well, no wonder. You know what I'm saying? Like that's an issue here, and it's not just her driveway that I do, and she knows that we do it. I mean, obviously, we're not ninjas. You're gonna see someone out there, shoveling your driveway, and
Well,
you're gonna hear it.
how many years have you been neighbors? And then this, all of a sudden she felt brazen enough to come over and knock
I'd
on the
have
door
to
like
say
that.
like two or three.
Okay.
2 or 3. And
Interesting.
it is interesting because I don't know.
Why the sudden change, I
I
wonder? What
don't
happened?
know. She just
Maybe
showed
you
up
had
at
a
my door
really
one
good
day.
strain, dude. You
I
must
don't
have
know.
had a really awesome strain. Or maybe you're just getting to be a better grower. And the point of a grower is that we want to smell it.
Right.
I don't know if you remember, if you ever had a COVID-19 or anything that took your smell away.
Yep.
A couple months before it happened in 2019, I was sick with something, who knows, and I couldn't smell my weed, and I knew that my strains had that strong bag appeal. Just when you open the baggie, I knew it because I dry it on the plant. By the way, we could talk about the way we shear and dry our buds. It just it gives it the best smell without having to open it by just having it dry on the plant. It really provides a lot more exterior terpenes and a lot more odor coming off the flower, natural odor. So when I opened that bag, I expected it to just blow my face off with this awesome smell, like a can of coffee or a fresh bag of burritos or something, right?
Yep.
So I go ahead and I do it, and I'm not getting nothing.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
what the heck? And I get into it. I open it up, and how you ever smelled a bud, you got it in your hand now, and I smell it, and I'm right there, and I couldn't smell it. And I said, man, if this doesn't go away, it's going to break my heart forever. I'm not even going to care for weed anymore. And I've been smoking it for almost 30 years. It's like, that's what I really love about it, isn't it? Is the smell. So if you're able to smell it across the street, that just means you're a really good grower.
Oh, yeah.
And she should be proud to live next door to you, really.
Right. Right. That's where I want to live, right? I don't think that it's anything of that, and I do appreciate that. I'm learning still. I think it was more of, honestly, and I've thought about it, I think she just got fucking bored and wanted to start some shit or just wanted to know or maybe saw something.
Was your township doing an ordinance? Maybe it brought it up on her mind or something?
Oh, I live in Amsterdam, so it's we really don't. Lansing's got one of the most lax, ordinances out there. Only because, well, I mean, we've fought for that. You know what I'm saying? A lot more people show up and things of that nature. But
that's what it takes.
I'm sorry?
When there's a meeting, when people go to it, then they just do what the people want because that's what they're supposed to do. When nobody goes to it, they do what they want.
Correct.
It's weird.
I want to talk a little bit about Clio Cultivation. I noticed that you guys just updated your website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For those of you, it looks amazing, man. I was checking it out earlier today. For those who don't know, Clio Cultivation was established in 2010. It's located at 12196 North Saginaw Road in Clio, Michigan, 48420. 810-686-4769. Call them. Somebody will answer, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7, Saturday, 10 to 5, and Sunday they closed.
Man, you got it down. Good job. But the cool thing is the 4769 on our phone number, that's the word grow. So it's 810-686-GROW, right? And likewise, our zip code, I'm not kidding, it's 48420. Get it? It's 420.
Listen, so that's some divine intervention right now. But, listen, ClioCultivation.com, y'all. Go check out the new website. I love it, man. I love when you guys dropped that. It was, December 17th you got the new website?
We had a launch party back then, and, we've been working on it since summer. And it's cool because it's one of those beautiful things. I'm watching it get better and come to fruition. It's growing every day. We're adding banners. We're adding deals. We're adding more products. We're updating our prices. FloraFlex just went down 33%, if you can believe it. They had a price drop. So, if you like FloraFlex, you're getting these pound bags for like $5 now. I had to actually ask my manager, like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, let me check. Yeah, it's $5.90 now. I'm like, okay, brother.
Shit.
So if you go to our website, everything on there, there's over 5,100 SKUs on ClioCultivation.com. and everything on there is at wholesale prices. We can ship it to your home. We can ship it to your commercial grow. We can ship it to your caregiver grow, your rec grow, whatever you want to say. We can ship it, or you can just build. What's really fun is you can shop on our website. You can put everything in there that you want to have it, and hit, when you go to check it out, you hit pay at pickup. And what that does is it sends the order to my desk and my manager's desk, and I get a text message on the phone we're talking on right now. And I'll tell my managers, hey, we got an order from Rodney, and they will look at it. If we have it at our store, bam, they're going to call you and say, hey, Rodney, your order's ready to pick up.
Come
Man,
get it.
that was some Jetsons shit. We just did that. However, if we don't have it, then you didn't just get disappointed, did you? Because you're chilling back, working on your show, working on your lifestyle, working on your businesses, and we are taking care of your growing supply needs behind the scenes. So we're going to add that to that order. We're going to submit that tomorrow. It's going to be in on Thursday or Friday, and we're going to be right on top of it. We're going to call you when it comes in, and by that time, you probably need a few more things. So the point being, you don't have to come and get disappointed, because you know how shipping is, and you know how product availability can be these days, right? So use the website, use your phone, and just sit back and chill and build a shopping cart, and you could pay for it right there. That's fine. Or you could just hit pay at pickup. And what that does is it gives us the opportunity to work for you and make sure you're happy with everything, and we get it all together in one nice package, and we'll call you and you can come on out and grab it.
I love it, man. I love it. Again, that's ClioCultivation.com. It sounds like I'm gonna have to make a trip to Clio here soon. You know, it's a city that I may have driven through, but I never really stopped. It's just kind of, you know, I didn't really have the time. It's the truth, you know. But
right, and we even have a spot we can hang out. We got a pool table back there. I got some old records we could spin. I've got I got a TV. We can watch some YouTube. Whatever you want to do, man. We can chill for a little bit.
Let's do it, man. We'll throw down on some grills or something. We'll cook some food, man. I appreciate you having the time to sit down and come on the show, man. It's definitely like, I feel, first and foremost, I want to shout out Jen Bronson for making this possible. And secondly, I do feel that I'm gonna need to keep up more with this avant-garde of group of cannabis caregiver activists, if you will. Again, I may not be able to make every meeting.
Come to the meetings. Yeah, we want to see you out there. You got a lot to say.
I went to a bunch of them here in Lansing, and then as 2021 had it, that stupid fucking year, I caught COVID, and so I couldn't catch, anything else. And I will not lie to you, COVID is real. Okay, I don't care who says what. I had it. I was sick as shit. I was for like a straight week. I couldn't get out of bed damn near. And then I couldn't even smoke dabs, bro. Like I couldn't smoke
when you
a
get
joint,
so
nothing.
sick like that, you can't even smoke weed, can you? That's terrible. Oh,
and
man.
so I was doing CBD tinctures. Like when I would take my, I would take my medicine, I'd take my acetaminophen and, try to get it out of me, man, drink my teas and just do all of that. I was taking a shit ton of CBD tinctures, because CBD has the anti-inflammatory properties. And so it worked, man. And then, the next week is probably 8 or 9 days later. I was like, screw it. I got to try and get high. Like I need to get baked. Like I just need to like feel my body relax. Couch lock. You know what I mean? That's where I was going with it. I need to relax. And I did a dab and it was like, it was mood it instantly worked. As soon as I breathed it, exhaled it, I was like, oh, I feel so much better. And then it's been the same since. But there's a little bit of residualness. Long COVID is a thing, I will admit, but listen, smoke weed. That's really what it is. You guys, if you're suffering from anything, reach out, to people around you, talk to caregivers. Again, I feel as though with this new group of caregiver, activists, I'm going to have to touch base with you guys more, to kind of replace the fact that I may or may not be able to make it out to certain, to certain meetings. If I can make it, great, cool. I'm going to go, at least show my support. I just need to know, and again, that kind of comes down to like, you guys know when these are happening, when they're not happening and things like that. You're always posting it. Check out Buddy, on Facebook, on Instagram. He's always, posting it on YouTube. He's recording the entire meeting. He's doing what a lot of people should be doing. A lot of people should be standing up for what they believe in. Don't
that's a good point. We can save the caregivers. you know that we could save them, right? That's kind of the mentality I want everybody to sit back and think about. If you're not at the meetings, you're not going to save the caregivers because they're going to destroy us. If you just go to the meetings, that's
Show
all
up.
it is. That you got to get involved right on your local level, and it's not going to hurt anything. They need your input, or they're going to make a decision without you. So
100%.
when you get involved, guess what? You're saving the caregivers. It doesn't hurt. It took up 2 hours of my night. I still got to go home and tickle my kids and play with them last night, man. You know, they're fine. And I was right there being their dad. I only missed a few hours. And my wife picked up the slack for me and took care of the kids and gave them a bath. And I was out there representing the caregivers that couldn't make it, and I was representing myself. And on the YouTube channel, it's under, look up Clio Cultivation. I've only got a few videos now, but I'm going to be putting up more videos. I'm going to be putting up all the township videos, and I'm also going to put up some grow classes that I recorded a few years ago.
Hell yeah.
And I wasn't sure about releasing them, to be honest, because, you know, I don't want growers to get mad. Like, why are you telling everybody? It was kind of for us, more of a secret. Well, now these commercial growers are so prevalent that I need to get back to the basics. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of what this is about. And it's about understanding how to grow the best medicine that you can, because nobody wants this to be mediocre. That's not what this is about, right? It's about quality. It's super important that each person can grow their own quality medicine. And I have a formulation to tell you, as a rookie novice, you can do it for $1 a gram, brother. And when you get really, really good, guess what? You can double. I'm going to put this down. You can double your yields. And that means you can get almost 2 pounds out of a 4x4 area, right? One light running 680 watts of LEDs, full spectrum. And we sell them for $6.99. So they're not that expensive. And that lasts up to 10 years, this light. You hang it up one day, and it can hang there for 10 years. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
This light can produce like a sunlight, like a full spectrum with ultraviolet and all the colors. And it's not burning the plants like it used to. These bulbs were hot. It's not hot. You could pretty much touch them. They don't burn anymore, right?
They're
so
LED,
you're getting this, man, you're getting this premium quality light, this premium response to your plant. And they give you this best yields. And it lasts so long that you're not buying bulbs all the time.
Right.
There's no business.
I read something somewhere. It may have been on Reddit. I research a lot. That's just me. And with cannabis, there's so much out there we don't know. So it's kind of like, look into it yourself. Going back to the whole pinene and northern lights and asthma and stuff. And so, I have a couple of small lights now. I couldn't tell you exactly what the wattages were. I just, I'll take the responsibility there. It is what it is. It's working. That's all I know. But I am going to upgrade soon. Now, in upgrading soon, I found that, someone stated that it's a waste of money to spend more than $1 per watt. Is that something that you agree with?
$1 per watt. How do you mean that specifically? So I want to answer your question the best I can.
And that's fine. The way that the context was saying that a person was on Reddit, I believe,
I think it's less than that. Than that. Okay, so 1,000-watt light bulb, right? If you run, okay, I see what you're saying. If you ran that, it takes 2 months to flower a plant. So let's just say you vegged it for another 2 months under a T5 light and a 600-watt metal halide or something. Okay. So that's going to cost X amount of dollars. Let's just say it's for the electricity, right? Just for the electricity and the nutrients and the dirt and stuff. So it's $50 to $100 back there at veg, right? Now your flower cycle, you're going to probably run $75 a month times 2 months. So right there's $150 more dollars. Okay, on 1,000-watt bulb, right? And you got to figure more nutrients and more time, and you're in there working with it and whatnot. So I added up no more than $500. Now, if somebody tells me I'm wrong, maybe inflation is. I did this a long time ago, but let's be honest. It's about $500, give or take, to grow a 4x4 area, one light, that watts and time formula. Okay, so I look at it as yield over expense of amount of money as a grower, right? Okay. So $500, let's just call it. Now a rookie, somebody that just started day one, that we can help. We love to help new growers every day here. Well, you can do a 4 plants, you get 4 ounces of plant. That's not going to be some big fishing tail story, would it? I mean, if you just put 4, 2 or 3 foot tall veg plants, they're probably going to get 3 to 4 ounces on them, right?
Right.
So that's a pound. That's 1 pound.
Mm-hmm.
You just did $1 per $1 per gram, basically. So think of it like this: you have to go to this dispensary or somewhere, you got to buy it, right? Well, you could grow it yourself, and it costs you, with no tax, $1 for a big gram. Each gram that you could use that probably one time at least. And a gram is a good amount, right? So that's going to cost you $1. So getting back to my other formula, if you become a really good grower, you can double your yields in a matter of, say, 6 months or a year. You dedicate yourself to learning a little bit. And there's a book, I sell it. It's called the Growers Handbook. It's $22 and some change. It actually teaches you how to grow very simply and easily from a master grower's perspective without being confusing,
Right.
You can get
down.
it to 2 pounds, 2 pounds of yield for that same light of that. Now you're in year 1 and it's got 9 years to go on this LED, and you're getting 2 pounds. You're getting 8-ounce plants and you're doing 4 of them, or you're getting 2 1-pound plants. And I know that sounds like, man, that sounds like a lot of yield. Are you sure? I am certain. Okay. You can do it. It's, what it says in the book? It's your strain. Okay. And it says a light can only produce so much yield, right? So that's pretty obvious. You're not going to get 10 pounds out of a 1,000-watt light. Nobody ever did it in history. So, but there's a certain amount of yield that can produce it. Some people would claim 2.25 pounds, whatever. But now we're at 680 watts on these LEDs. Nobody's really buying new 1,000-watt lights. Maybe I sold a few to some commercial growers. They're trying to get the double-ended lights and get up to 3 pounds. So there's a number factor there. They like the bigger yields. A lot of people don't like the bigger power bill. A lot of people don't like the heat. And I'm not one to sell a LED and lose yields. If you're going to get a few ounces under an LED, that's not worth it, right? So we want to get maximum yield for our watts.
Right.
We know that costs money to the power company. So when you figure it's $500 for an area, and I can show you up to 2 pounds of yield, you're doing really good. I mean, you're at 50 cents or less if you crunch the numbers, and that's cost the nutrients some money for your time, the power bill, the dirt. See, I have a friend here who's an expert as well. He's saying a gram per watt. Okay, so do the math. If I can help you, and I can help you, and my employees at Clio Cultivation, we are growers, okay? So this is serious numbers. If you took a 2-pound yield, what's that? 900 grams roughly, right?
Right.
Divide that into the amount of energy that the LEDs are taking up. So it's 680 watts, right? That's like 1.3 now, okay? I am doing more growing organic than a gram per watt, and with a 1,000-watt light, that would be quite an achievement. I'd be telling you I'm getting 2.2 pounds for a 1,000-watt light. And honestly, I never really got that much. Under a 1,000-watt light, I typically got about a pound and a half to 2 pounds of yield before. Now I'm getting that same yield with way less energy cost. Okay. And I'm here to tell you, it's not maybe better. It is better. Okay. The LED light, without changing your methodology, without changing your nutrients, without doing anything else, I can give you advice. Just simply putting your same strain that you've grown, that you know how it behaves underneath of an LED, you will have more crystals, more terpenes, more flavonoids, more essential oil, more potency, more talk about testing. Not only will you pass your test, but it will be higher numbers, okay? And when you smoke, you will see a resin content that's unbelievable. Let me see if I can show you. Like, the resin is awesome on this stuff. This is apples and bananas by State Genetics, by the way. And, the medicinal effect is so obvious. You don't have to smoke joint after joint after joint and waste your time. That stoners get a bad name that they're always smoking weed. Maybe they were just smoking bad weed. If you smoke really good weed, do you really have to smoke 2, 3, 5 joints when you could just smoke a joint, half a joint maybe, and be productive? And so I'm an advocate of being in business, and I want people to do what they want to do. I happen to sell dirt and light bulbs as my business, and I try to not just sell the equipment, I try to give that knowledge. That's the extra thing that we offer. It's not just get you in, get you out. We're not quick transaction. We actually hope you have a minute, and if you want to go, we'll sell it to you. You can go, but let's try to talk about the product. Let's make sure you understand you want to mix up your organic pesticides, so you're not using the same pesticide every week, your mites can get a little bit immune to that. But if you try to mix it up, that's a good time. Maybe try this, that, and the next thing you know, you're just using preventative maintenance and you don't have any noticeable signs of pests. Because as a caregiver, you're responsible for clean meds. We don't have remediation equipment. Let's not even go there. So we're not bug farmers, okay?
Right.
And we're not mildew farmers at all. And so we don't allow that, And it goes back to what you were saying about testing. Yeah, we can test. And I've had competitions, little competitions here called Clio Cultivators Cups. And every single applicant, over 40 of them, the last 2 years in a row, got all good testing, 100%. Nobody got kicked out.
For sure, dude. I wanna touch back on something that I learned years ago, that I watched, and it was with Chef Sean Brock to kind of, elicit another point. You're in it for the success for others, and you want to see other people succeed while growing cannabis for themselves to help their mother, whatever the reason. Okay. Sean Brock brought back an old type of corn, Johnny Red corn, I believe it was called. And, that corn was going extinct, but it has a lot of heritage. It has a lot of flavor. And so he was really bringing it back. And he said, there's no better feeling than knowing that you grew that yourself. And that is the point. I've grown my own tomatoes, I've grown my own okra, I've grown my own food, man. And there's no better feeling than knowing that, like, yo, I watched that shit grow. I tended to that, and now I'm able to consume that. It's something that we need to get back to. I think that instead of worrying about convenience, we need to go back to actually doing it ourselves. I don't like the lines at Chick-fil-A. I don't like the lines at McDonald's. I don't like the lines at fast food. And then when I go to the grocery store, you've only got so many limited options, and there's a lot of options there, but
that's another trick. There you go. So it makes it seem like you have all these options. Oh yeah, you got these choices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, that's it though. That's your select number of options. What if they're all bad?
Mm-hmm.
What if you're only left to decide against the bad choices? And I think that's what it's easy for me to fall victim to. And you probably do that as well. You probably just say, well, what do we got here? Just start naming fast food places. And that's where you go to eat at, because those are the 5 choices you have that day. Now, in America, I think that's pretty cool that we have those 5 choices, that we don't have to say, we can't get any food. So thank goodness there's not a scarcity of food. However, the choices aren't really very good, because if you offered me a good quality choice, I'd probably tell you that I just go to this one place, but I don't know what that one place is. And I wish that they would tailor more food like that. So that's a good conversation to have, comparing that to the cannabis industry, isn't it? There's a lot of bad choices to eat. And right now it seems like there's a lot of bad cannabis choices too.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird? And, there's a lot of good cannabis choices, but just like finding good food and living an organic lifestyle, it might not be the easy way to go. But it's to be honest, it's the ultimate experience. That's something I just thought about when you were saying, what is it like to have your own medicine? I mean, this right here, this is what you're going to be getting, brother. This is the ultimate experience. This here, my friend, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. Back it up a little bit. Oh, yeah, there we go. Look at that.
It's that Northern Light, fam. This stuff is dense. And let me just open this nug here and tell you. That's nothing like
I can smell it from here.
There's nothing else like this, you guys. When you can grow this yourself and you know what's in it, and you watched it grow from the whole time, and it's not contaminated. And I can't wait to test this. I'll tell you what, I'll take you up on it. I'll go down, drop some samples off at PSI Labs in Ann Arbor, and we'll see. But I bet you it's going to shoot up the pinene and the terpenes and the myrcene, and it's very unique. Okay, so it's a strain that's been a cutting. It's just getting cuttings over and over. So yeah, that's the point of what we're saying here.
Right.
If you grew this yourself, there's nothing like it. And when you get that flavor and you enjoy what is in the strain, and you tried it somewhere else, it's just pale. It's pale in comparison. Okay. So I don't want society to think that that's what all cannabis is like, as if they just went to a couple dispensaries and tried it, and that must be what medical marijuana is.
Right.
No, you're missing a whole nother game that we have, that we want to share with you, by the way. So there's, multiple ways to get involved, but I think the best way is to seek out a good doctor to get your card, find a caregiver, and then you can go from there. And it'll probably open up a whole new world. Like you said, that dab, it did that medicinal effect for you. That's a great story. When I first started taking dabs, it almost made me sick. And I had been smoking for, better part of 30 years almost. And it was hurting my stomach to the point where I wasn't sure if I could do dabs. But after about 4 or 5 experiences like that, where I would try to take small hits of it and not let anybody peer pressure me. Don't let anybody peer pressure you. Right? Just, hey, whatever. You take your huge glob dab, whatever. I'll take a little dab until I get used to it. And now the size dabs I take, people say that that's a big dab or whatever. And I try not to waste it because a lot of times I use an e-nail. It'll just kind of smoke away. And I like to still smoke it. Some people vaporize their dabs. And I actually choose to smoke it at a high temperature. But the point is, with dabs, it's still just medicine. It's still just marijuana, cannabis. But it's actually a lot better sometimes because you get a more of a true flavor instead of any flavor of the smoke. You taste the medicine better, right?
Correct.
And also,
there's no combustion really.
No, it's just straight terpenes at that point, and you get the medicinal effect faster. And it might last longer, but the point is, it's not going to take you as much time. So when I first started seeing people remember the torches and stuff, and you still do that, that's fine. But it was just the whole stigma of the sound of it. I wasn't really a fan of that. I would always joke around, like maybe not too much to people's faces, but to myself and somebody around me, I'd laugh. Look at that, man! What is he doing? Like it just seemed wild, but I got used to it, and I understand it's a temperature thing. It's nothing to be crazy. It just made us almost look kind of wild, didn't it? But now with these electronic nails, you can have a solid temperature. So in the morning, I turn it on and I turn it off at nighttime. So my electronic nail stays on for 12 hours a day, believe it or not. And it's just ready to go. And it doesn't hurt anything. I mean, it seems to be fine. And what I like about it is it's always consistent. It's just like your favorite cup of coffee or your favorite meal when you make it just how you like it. It's very consistent to expect what it's going to do. And you can enjoy it real fast, and you can get back to work, or you can go back to your concert, listen to that song, or write your commercial. Or I use it in many times where I don't have time to sit and smoke and talk and roll a joint. That's fine, but it takes time. Where dabbing is more efficient.
Oh, 100%. It's a higher concentration of the actual medicine, being administered for sure. Man, I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking with me. We could talk all day about this. We really could. And I'm sure we will again, man, but I want everybody to make sure that they understand that, ClioCultivation.com, that it's the realness. That's the truth.
Check it out.
Absolutely. Go into the shop, go say what's up to Buddy. These are people that are trying to literally save your life without you even knowing it, and dude, I can't appreciate you enough. Seriously. Like, I've heard so many great things about Clio Cultivation. It's almost sad that I haven't reached out, earlier, and I do apologize. There's a literal laundry list of people that I need to go into contact with, but I don't feel like this is going to be the last conversation between you and I. I feel that we're going to have many conversations, and I think this is just a start, man. We got to kind of, help educate people and let them know that, there's this, when you go back to what we were starting out with, when you're at the dispensary, let's say that you just, regular consumer, regular person that goes to the dispensary just to get a joint for whatever reason. Okay. You need to know what's worth it and what's not. Like we said, yes, maybe you should go to a caregiver and get your card and know what you're trying to heal. Absolutely. But let's just assume that you're there at the dispensary and you're trying to make a decision. I want you to, at least use a little bit of morals and ethics, and that's all we're asking. That's it. You don't have to. No one's forcing you. We're just kind of saying, hey, maybe take this into consideration. And there's a lot more information that you're not being presented because, let's face it, no one really could research this 30 years ago or 20 years ago. We didn't know this, 15, 20 years ago. Some of us did, the caregivers, if you will, but not everybody did. But I want to say thank you real quick to Clio Cultivation. You know, you guys are out there fucking killing it. I think it's amazing what you're doing. Honestly, I pull a little bit of inspiration for it. So again, thank you for you guys being, you know, again, the avant-garde in fighting for caregivers. I am a patient myself, you know, mental health.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all
100%.
about, is healing the patients, giving them a place that they can trust, and having quality, you know, that they can have repeatedly. You don't always change your prescription, you know, necessarily. You might change your dosage, but your prescription of your medicine that is effective for your condition, it fairly stays the same. So that's the consistency a caregiver can provide. So it might not be for everyone, and I understand there's many ways to get cannabis these days, but the caregivers are here to stay in Michigan, and that's something I hope is the point of what we're talking about. So if you want to become one, it's easy to do. We might have to set up a Facebook page. I'm going to ask Jen. Maybe she'll do it. So where caregivers looking for a patient can find one, and a patient looking for caregivers can find one. We should just have another page. You should join PCAN. If you're on Facebook, check out PCAN. That's Patients and Caregivers Awareness Network or something to that effect. But it's PCAN. It's a group that Jen and I are part of. She's the founder. And basically what that is about is to raise awareness of these ordinances, to get it right at the beginning. Like we did last night, we were in planning. We weren't at no last minute stuff like happened to me in Flushing and things like that. I'll talk about that to you next time. But you know what? We got this in planning. That's good. That's what we want to be, is right at the beginning and strike right then and let them know this is nothing that you can just talk about behind our backs. And that we want to be there. And if you're going to have a good ordinance, we're going to say no problem. And if you're going to have a bad ordinance, we're going to have a lot to say. And we're going to tell everybody. I'm going to not only be on this Facebook page, I'm going to call the local news crews. We're going to have MLive out there. We're going to just do live streams. I'm going to post them up on YouTube so that the whole world gets to see what they're up to. They don't get to just do this behind our backs, do they?
No, we coming. We coming
No,
hard.
we're just going to be there.
Yeah.
That's what I told them last night. And I was the only one holding up a phone. And if you scroll ahead, if you don't want to listen to all the first part, it's an hour and 5 minutes. Go to the first, get past that, whatever. The hour and 5 minutes is real. That's patients talking and caregivers talking to these boards and pleading with them. And that's what it takes. And when you do that, guess what? It works, family. You, man, and me. I'm just a simple old buddy. I'm just some simple guy from Clio, Michigan that sells dirt. I'm nobody necessarily. I go to these meetings, though, and as behalf of the caregivers, it's just as much as their attorney talking. They listen right to you, and they write notes down, and they're asking. Last night, they were asking me questions like I'm some kind of expert. Can you believe that? It was hilarious because I gave them the ordinance language from Flushing. So now they read it and they're like, okay, that's more what an ordinance should look like. You know, it's pretty simple, doesn't restrict anybody, not really going to stop anybody from moving, living there. They don't have to move like your poor neighbor there. I feel bad for her. You know, she's got it in her head, you know, and maybe you can still talk to her. Maybe she'll take it off the market if she's happy where she's at. She's like, oh, yeah, you know, I do love you. Here's a cherry pie.
She could be moving for something that's completely unrelated.
We don't even know. Maybe she just wants to go to Florida or something.
Right. Who knows?
I do. Don't you? I want to live in Florida in the winter.
Yeah. Like, I won't deny that. You know, the only issue is like, I don't like sand. Florida's, it's too sandy for me.
Too many bugs.
Yeah, too many bugs, snakes. You know, I love lizards. That's fine.
Alligators.
I'm really just scared of the people that eat bath salts. That's really what it is. I like my face, believe it or not. I don't want anybody eating that off.
Yeah,
that's
be
the
careful.
truth, you know. But man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I'm sure we're gonna talk again. Again, guys, gals, everyone in between. ClioCultivation.com. Go check it out. Make sure you say what's up to Buddy. My tokers, my jokers, my smokers. This has been another edition of the Daily Chronicles, y'all. One of the best editions we've had to date, man. You guys check us out. Facebook, Instagram, we're everywhere. YouTube, we're popping up everywhere. We'll see you on the next episode, y'all. Buddy, appreciate you. Peace,
you got
guys.
any questions out there? Call me.
Do it. All right. We'll see you guys on the flip later.
Keep it growing.